Hey, welcome to Let's Talk About It. Hey, I'm your man, Rod Love, and sitting to my left is none other than the General, Attorney Greg Jackson.
Once again, it's on, Brother Love. Hey, man, you know how we get this thing started every week, man. How's this past week for you?
Greg, man, this weekend, man, brother, I got to tell you, I started doing some domestic stuff, man. I started pressure cleaning my fence. I just wanted to get the outside.
You got a pressure cleaner yourself to do it?
I got one in my shed, man, that's been sitting in there for a couple of years.
All right, man. You seen them videos? You seen them videos of the people that try to cook them turkeys in the deep fryer? It's not gonna be you with the pressure washer, man.
You know what? You know what, Greg?
on a video somewhere.
No, I got out there, man, and started using that pressure cleaner, man, and just went crazy, man. And next thing I know, 3 hours later, I'd only gotten one side done.
So are we gonna see Rod Love pressure, the Love pressure cleaning?
You never know. You never know.
Hey, listen, what they always say. Various streams of passive income, or just various streams of income, man. Ain't nothing wrong with that.
They don't say that. Attorney Greg Jackson has been saying that for the last 6 years, and you've gotten some people to move on it too.
Just a few, man. Just a few, Brother Love.
How was your weekend, man?
So listen, man, I was actually in the great state of Georgia this past weekend. What I do for fun is practice law. That's my fun part. You know,
the fun part, Greg.
It's not a job to me anymore. That's the fun stuff. And there was some intense training, some trial training about expert witnesses. And so I have a trial coming up here in the next 3 weeks. And I just got me some new skills, and I'm gonna be pulling out my bag on some folks.
See, man. We all know, Greg, that you got skills, and but I'm gonna go ahead, man, because I'm learning real fast. Greg, you do personal injury.
I do,
right?
yeah.
So, man, how do people get a hold of you if they need a good attorney?
Listen, if anyone, it's not even if I have to take that case. Sometimes people just have questions for me and different things like that. Feel free to give me a call, 407-564-6604. Again, that's 407-564-6604. I'm more than happy to talk to you about a potential claim case for yourself, family members, friends, whatever the case may be. Sometimes I can help, sometimes I can't, but I at least try to guide people in the right direction on where they're going, what to do. So,
well, Greg, something else, man, that I got quite a few texts and some voicemails on, man, and we got to relay this back to Pinto and is it Ellis? What's Ellis' first name?
Oh, John Ellis.
John Ellis.
Yeah.
Was it CJ?
You talking about Mr. Battles, Brother Battles,
Brother
CJ Battles, yeah, Brother Bowles, Brother Rackley that was there.
The calls and texts I got.
You got a few.
I got a few, and you know what they were saying?
What's that?
Those alphas did their thing about voter education.
Listen, and it's easy for me to sit here and say, alphas, we did this, we did that, because I am a proud brother of Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated. Specifically, I am a part of the Delta Xi Lambda chapter, the alumni chapter for Alpha Phi Alpha. But it's not just the alphas out there that's doing the work, man. I mean, we can point to the AKAs that have voter drives. We can point to the Deltas that do some work. We can point to the Kappas. We can point to the Omegas. We can point to the Sigmas. We can point to the Zetas. We can point to our Otas. We all do our part in trying to make sure that our communities are well educated. But just like in 1906, Brother Love.
Oh,
a lot of folks understand this when I say this. Just like in 1906, the brothers of Alpha Alpha had to be first of all in bringing this to Let's Talk Nation. And so I hope that other fraternities, other sororities will be a part of spreading their thoughts about voter education and different things like that to help to educate folks on voter rights and voter empathy and how we get around these things.
I know we're gonna be getting some calls from a lot of the frat guys that I know that are now asking us the question, man, when are we going back to another barbershop? When are we going back in the community to do a remote session about voter education? And the good thing about the conversation, Greg, was it was not one-sided.
No, it was not.
That was a good, comfortable, uncomfortable conversation at times that we needed to have about voter education.
Absolutely. And listen, even if we're not back at the barbershop, Brother Love, we got to say thank you once again to Weston Kennedy for opening up the doors, for allowing us to have the space and the opportunity to have this great conversation. But while we're talking about Weston Kennedy, Brother Love, we got to thank our sponsor for tonight, man.
Oh, man. Oh, boy, you talking about a sponsor? Joe's Auto quality repair. And you know, I got to go ahead and give a plug, man. He got a commercial.
You got to do it right, man. You got to do it right.
Hey, he has a commercial out there, Greg. And you know what that commercial says?
What it say?
And I'm gonna try to do it in my best voice.
Okay.
It says, "They break, I fix." Mondo, you heard that commercial? Joe's Auto Repair, and his commercial say, "They break, I fix." And you know, he does Mercedes. He does all the foreign cars.
The Germans,
all the German cars. And so, man, when I tell you, Joe's commercial even tells you he will beat other dealers' repair prices by 30%. Tell them Let's Talk Nation sent you, and you got the right man. So let me give Joe's phone number, because Joe is in such demand.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you got to make those appointments, and that number is 407-409-6040. Once again, 407-409-6040. And when I tell you, Greg, Joe, he's a chief mechanic. I mean, this is not somebody who just says, I want to work on cars. He is a chief mechanic, man, with all the credentials in the world. So Mercedes, Porsches, all those foreign cars, man, he knows how to fix them.
Well, listen, man, thank you once again to Joe's Auto, where once again, what did you say, Brother Love?
They break, I fix. Joe's Auto Repair.
Hey, listen, if anyone wants to be a sponsor of Let's Talk Nation, Let's Talk About It, all you got to do is reach out to Brother Love, myself, Doc Polite, Brother Armando. What's the, I don't even, what's,
it is
what's the
info at ltnnetwork.net. Once again, info at ltnnetwork.net.
And listen, bro, we need to pause for a second, because I don't think folks understand that when they become sponsors of the show, like you know, the last couple of weeks we've had Alan Damon, Custom Clothiers as a sponsor. Now we have Joe's Autos. But not only are we across this airwave here, but Brother Love, we are on Spotify, we are on Apple iTunes, we are on iHeartRadio, and Brother Love, I don't know if you saw it, but we are now on YouTube.
Okay,
so Let's Talk Nation Network now has a YouTube channel, and so if you sponsor the show, you get a chance to get across to all of these airways. And last time I counted, Brother Love, I think we're at 22 million. That's what I think we were last time.
And you know what else, Greg? You know what sponsor I'm looking forward to?
Who's that?
Come on, brother. I'm looking for the Vans, van sponsorship. Because man, you know, I be sporting them doggone Vans.
Yeah,
now.
you do.
See,
yeah, you do.
See, Attorney Jackson, he don't wear those Van tennis shoes. You know, he's always that. He got those hard shoes on.
Well, now listen. Now, if I'm around the 10, I got my Mag 90s now.
Oh, see,
I got my Mag 90s. Okay. I rock my leather tennis shoes, but they got to be Italian.
I'm looking for Vans. I'm looking for Van sponsorship. So Greg, you're right, man. I don't care if you have a roofing company, if you're a painter. And you, man, I gotta give it up, man. We just had the inside painted, and I gotta give it up to the company, but I'm waiting for them to become a sponsor first.
Listen, and when they do, they get their own little segment, their own little spot. We talk a little bit about them like we're doing right now.
You're right.
So, Brother Love, I mean, you know, we always started this way. You know, if you're hearing these two voices, seeing these two faces right now, you're tuned in to two of the most influential voices on podcast on Monday night. Brother Love and Greg Jackson, the dynamic duo, guaranteed to raise your IQ 10 to 15 points, and on some nights, Brother Love, it even goes up to 20 to 25 to 30. And tonight, man, we have some great topics, some thought-provoking topics that we just want to go through and get folks to thinking. And normally, you know, if you want to be a part of the nice conversation, you call this number. But listen, if you want to be a part of the nice conversation, all you got to do is go to the Facebook page, push in your comments. You know, some of y'all even have our personal cell number where you can text. But if you want to be a part of the nice conversation, you know, please feel free to jump in and let's talk about this, because this is Let's Talk Nation, Brother Love.
And Greg, you know, you taught me well, and we were talking about the voter education remote that took place, but I think that's a heck of a segue, man, to talk about a title, Lost in the Fray.
Oh man.
Was that good? You like that?
I like that, Brother Love. I like that, man. I like that. That segue is your segue game is on par, bro.
So when we talk about being lost in the fray, and we just came off a remote, man, talking about voter education, are Black folk issues being placed on the back burner because there's so many other issues out there that we're either getting engaged in, or these and Greg, man, I hate to say,
Yeah.
are these issues bigger? Are they more important than the issues that Black folk have that need to be addressed? And issues that we've talked about on a regular basis, Greg, the economy, economic development, some of the other issues. If Dr. Nelson was here, talking about social justice issues.
Yeah.
What's your thoughts, man?
I mean, brother Love, that's a great question. And it does kind of take us back to the conversation that we were having about, voter education and voter empathy, because one of the things that came up in that conversation, just as a recap, is, are Black votes being taken advantage of because there's one party in particular that feels like they're going to get 95%.
So they don't have to work.
African Americans. Yeah, so they don't have to work for the vote. Yeah. And because they don't have to work for the Black vote, does that not also mean that when they get in office, they don't have to address Black issues? Mm-hmm. And so, when we talk about some of the things, let's kind of spitball some of these issues, man. When we talk about immigration, and the fact that you had, and I think that the total right now, the estimated number, Brother Love, is about 8 million individuals, undocumented individuals, have come into the U.S. over the past 2.5, 3 years under the Biden administration. And as a part of that, when you look at a lot of these communities, i.e. New York, i.e. California, i.e. Chicago, where millions upon millions of dollars have been set aside to provide housing for these illegal immigrants that have come into this country, undocumented persons that are coming to this country. What happens if, and I believe it was like, $6 million, I think we were talking about in Texas, that they were given for hotels and things like that. And I don't know what it is in New York right now, but I know that we have homeless veterans on the street in New York who aren't living this well. But let me not backtrack from what we're talking about. But when you're talking about millions upon millions of dollars that have been given for housing, for schools and things like that, but then we look at the Black community, Brother Love, and you have, increasing violence in places like Chicago, increasing violence in places like Memphis, Tennessee, and across the country in underserved Black communities. It seems as if the Black issue, or the Black issue of, providing safe communities in the Black community, has been put on the back burner for immigration in that respect.
Greg, I'm going to kind of go a little bit deeper, man, and I know this may not be popular to a lot of people. But in addition to, I think, issues of concern to the Black community being put on the back burner, one of the other issues that you and I, we talk about it directly with one another. We talk with executive producer Doc Polite, even Armando being the youngster of the group. We have those same conversations. And Greg, here's what I'm going to say to you. Yeah, we have the issues of immigration. We can talk about LGBTQ mobilization. We could talk about the issues of Ukraine. Israel is
it's there now. Yeah,
it's there. And you just mentioned, issues about crime in the Black community and all of those things, man. But there's one thing, Greg, I can't even get past this for us to have a conversation about how do we advance, because hey, a lot of times we too busy fighting with each other that other folks gonna say we don't even have to get involved with their so-called issues because they so busy fighting among themselves.
Yeah.
I mean, Greg, I'm not telling a lie here.
Right. So when we talk about, like some of the issues that we as Black Americans fight each other on, like let's talk to Let's Talk Nation about some examples of some of those issues that we fight each other on.
Well, let me say this, because Black folk are not monolithic thinking.
Okay.
And every population, every race has its own conflicts with one another. Ain't nothing new about that. But I will tell you, Greg, how we settle our differences needs to be addressed.
Okay.
You and I, and we haven't had any issues like that, but our differences, we will say, hey, Brother Love, hey, Brother Jackson, let's go grab a bite to eat.
And let's have that conversation. Yeah.
Our issues won't be addressed so everybody else can look at it and say we know how to get between the two of them right now because they don't get
right. Yeah.
It's a way. And then we can still depart with our disagreement about it. But man, we have had a chance to sit down and talk about why we disagree, but we don't have to go out on Front Street and let everybody know about our disagreement. We can actually continue to see things the way we see it, but there's a very, I don't know, man. I like to use the word respectful way, but then some people might say this ain't about giving you no respect if I disagree with you.
Yeah, but it should be about respect, because how do you have a conversation if you're not respectful of hearing the other person's view and you're yelling to get your view out? And when you're talking about that, Brother Love, one of the things that kind of came to mind for me is disagreements in the Black community about political affiliation and political parties. One of the things that has always baffled me in the Black community, and I don't know if I've seen this in any other communities, and I don't know if I care if I've seen it in any other communities, because we're talking about our community right now. But the moment that someone says that they are something other than a Democrat, it causes a problem in the Black community. And it doesn't matter what the issue is. If you say something other than I'm a Democrat, all of a sudden,
name calling.
Not before you even get to the name calling, they immediately stop listening to you.
And you get vilified.
You get vilified, and then the name calling starts. Oh, you're Uncle Tom. Oh, you and literal. And I'm not saying stuff that I think this is stuff that has been said. Oh, you're a coon. Oh, you're a sellout. All because you are of a different political party than someone else.
Something that your frat brother said when we were at the barbershop, Mr. John Ellis. When we had the conversation, how can it be a good business plan for one race of people to be 90-some% leveraged with one political party?
Right.
And then John Ellis gave everybody the education from the perspective of saying Black folk were the majority Republicans.
Yeah.
And you know what? To hear a brother articulate, to educate everybody. And, you look around the room at the barbershop, and I know some of the cats there already knew this. But Greg, it's sometimes, man, you got to say it out loud.
Right.
And that's what he did.
But here's the other thing too, because when Black folks were primarily Republican, this was during like around Reconstruction time and things like that. But let's take it even closer to the time of, voter rights and the civil rights movement. A lot of folks are surprised that the ones who were fighting so vehemently against, integration were actually Democrats. The elected officials, the congressmen, the senators who were saying that they did not want their white children in the same schools as these Black boys and girls were Democrats. And, and people, I got vilified for this too, Brother Love. And I'm a Democrat. In case people forget, I am a Democrat. They might forget, but I am the type of person where I look at all sides of an issue and I make common sense decisions about who I support. And people will remember, or they may want to forget, that one of the Democrats who spoke so vehemently against African Americans was Joe Biden. Under Joe Biden was the one that stood up in the Senate and said that he didn't want his kids in the same schools or in the same neighborhoods as these animals, being African American. And listen, don't take my word for it. I think the people looking at it, no, listen, go and do your research.
Go look at it.
Go do your research.
Yeah.
And, although I was the one that said that Joe Biden would be the eventual nominee for the Democratic Party, Joe Biden was not the person that I thought would best serve the Democratic Party as president. I was very impressed. Listen, I'm still saying I was very impressed with Cory Booker. Very impressed with Cory Booker. But Tulsi Gabbard, I was impressed with her. There were other folks. I know that Doc Polite, like Andrew Yang. I mean, there was so many talented people up there on that stage that I felt that Joe Biden, was, as number one, he's old as old. That was one thing. And I think that a party of free mind, independent individuals need new thinkers. And so, people have to do their research. And that's the one thing when we talk about, how we deal with each other in the Black community, that has to change. That has to change. We have to stop vilifying each other because we're different political parties. Because at the end of the day, we're all for the same things of what we want in our community.
You're absolutely right. And Greg, to bring this back full circle, to bring it back to how we got here, Greg, how do we not allow the issues in the Black community to be put on the back burner? How?
Listen, we have to remain vocal in what it is that's important with us. Now, someone said, and it may have been me, Brother Love. I don't know. I say so much. It could have been me. But someone once said that the black issues are being hijacked by everyone else's issues.
Mm-hmm.
So if it's immigration, all of a sudden we're pulled off to support immigration issues. If it's LGBTQ issues, all of a sudden we're being pulled off to support LGBTQ issues. If it's abortion rights with Planned Parenthood, all of a sudden we're being pulled off to support those things. So much so until now we're being pulled away from the issues that are important in our own community, such as affordable housing, such as safe places for for our children to play, business and economic development, sustainability in African American communities. These are the things that we oftentimes lose focus on because we're being pulled off and put onto other people's issues.
And can I want to throw a little alley-oop here.
Okay.
Because I also want for people to know and understand what we're not saying is we're not saying to stop the issues of black folk from being put on the back burner. You need to go to the Black Caucus. You need to go to your black. No, what we are saying is make sure you go to anybody who can impact and affect those issues within the black community. And that includes going to sit down and have conversations with Republicans.
Yeah, Republicans, independents, whoever can move the needle. So you want to don't foreclose having a conversation because of a political party.
You mentioned, I think it was at the barbershop.
Mm-hmm.
You mentioned how you've had conversation with individuals before, and they had issues, and you asked them the question, "Have you ever had a conversation with this individual before?"
Right.
And they told you, no, they've never gone and had that conversation.
Right. And you say, why not? Because I haven't been invited.
Man,
and it's as simple as that. Sometimes there are people out there who they don't feel comfortable coming to you because they feel like if they come, they're going to be vilified.
Yeah.
So you have to stop with the vilification of those individuals. You know what I'm saying?
You're right. So, Greg, I the only answer that I think we have to this is that we got to continue to have the conversation. But last but not least, when we talk about the issues of the black community not being put on the back burner, my question to you is, are we waiting for Superman?
You know what, brother? It's interesting that you even mentioned that. It's interesting that you mentioned that. By show of hands out there in Let's Talk Nation, how many of y'all have seen the movie The Flash? Have you seen the movie The Flash?
Yeah.
This may have, because I had to watch it 3 times for it to finally hit.
So we talking about the same Flash, right? We talking about The Flash.
Yeah,
okay,
the movie with the guy that's fast. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Be running like lightning and stuff like that. Yeah, The Flash.
Okay.
And Brother Love, there was a part in the movie, and I was on my 3rd time watching it because when I flew out to Colorado, I watched it on the plane because it was a 3-hour flight. Flying back from Atlanta this weekend, I watched it again. It was a shorter flight, so I kind of like pushed it through. And there was a part in the movie, Brother Love, funny enough, and there was a part early on in the movie. I don't know if you remember when Alfred sent the Flash out to help Batman. And Batman was on the bridge and he was about to fall off the bridge. And all of a sudden Wonder Woman is there and she lassos Batman and the guy with the briefcase and the dangerous infectious substance. All right. And they were up on the bridge, Brother Love. And I want to challenge y'all to go back and listen. That's why I like movies. I love movies. And people who know me know that I like to quote movies. And there was a part when they were on the bridge and Batman said, the way for me to fight crime or to get rid of crime is to fight poverty. What does that sound like, Brother Love? How often or how many times have we sat in these chairs or similar chairs like this in front of this Let's Talk Nation audience, and we've said that there's a root cause of violence and crime in communities.
Poverty.
Lack of economic opportunity and poverty. And lo and behold, on The Flash, the Batman, not just anybody, the Batman said,
so you're gonna have me go back and do the rewrite.
The way I need to fight, and I'm paraphrasing just a little bit, but he basically said the way that I fight crime is I need to address poverty. The Batman said it. So if the Batman said it, Brother Love, on The Flash, it's got to be true.
Got to be true.
But listen, all jokes. I don't want to minimize what we're saying. But that's a very true statement.
But Greg, I mean, we've been having this conversation for 6+ years now.
No doubt.
No doubt. And man, you making me go back, Greg. when we actually had the community engaged, and one of the issues, aside from crime, was economic development.
Right.
Man, we had input. We had, I don't know, Greg, it was like 6 sections to this task force report that we talked about economic stimulus, and we submitted that to all of the powers to be, the Senate, the House,
local elected
officials. And it's just real interesting, man, that I think the total package at that time, and Greg, this goes back, what, 2017?
2016, 2017, yeah.
Yeah. And Greg, the ask at the time was $1.5 million, and it dealt with housing, it dealt with crime prevention programs, it dealt with job training, and it dealt with a number of issues. And one,
I mean, listen, and I don't mean to cut you off, but because it dealt with one thing that was very important that people tried to glaze over, but it also dealt with the emotional impacts of crime and poverty in underserved communities that's seen with PTSD.
We talked about trauma, and I don't want to get you started, Greg.
Yeah, don't get me started, man. Yeah,
I remember the news station that did a piece on it, and they got, what was it, a first-year person just got.
No, let's give her credit. It was her second year out. We're gonna give her credit. It was her second year out at the time.
And Greg, what was it? Did this person say something regarding
that there was no correlation to PTSD in underserved communities and the trauma that these young kids felt, and seeing crime and poverty that was pervasive in their neighborhoods?
I feel sorry for her clientele if
that's her real thought.
If that's her real thought, for people that she's providing counseling to.
Right, but here's the thing, though, brother. That's not her clientele.
You're right.
That's
you're right.
The because remember, then we got in contact with the gentleman out of Baltimore.
Yeah.
Who said, "You all are absolutely right and on point.
You're right.
We do see signs of PTSD in children or people who live in these underserved communities."
You're an excellent attorney, because I just thought about what you just said. If this person's clientele wasn't the community that we were talking about whatsoever.
That's right.
And so they just dismissed it totally and completely.
Yeah.
And they don't even serve that population.
She sure doesn't. She sure didn't, and probably doesn't now.
Man, you know what?
So yeah. But listen, brother, we could hit this topic for days on end, and to the elected officials that listen to the show, Brother Love, this is what I'm gonna say. If you don't listen to the dynamic duo of Brother Love and Greg Jackson, please listen to the Batman.
Listen to the Batman.
If you're going to address crime, if you're going to fight crime, the best way to do it is to address poverty. The Batman said it.
Listen to the Batman.
The Batman said it. So,
Greg, something interesting. I mean, since we're on that note, something interesting is taking place tomorrow. Do you know what it is?
Oh, I know. Well, no, actually, it's 2 things.
Okay.
No. Interesting tomorrow, but there's something interesting taking place Wednesday. My bad. I'm sorry about that. Yeah.
So tomorrow is election day.
It's election day.
And
go out and vote. Everybody got there and vote.
You have the mayor's office in the city of Orlando that's going to be voted on. And you have district. Is it?
I want to say district 6, 4, and 5. District 6, 4, and 2.
Yeah, okay. And so go out and vote. Please go out, exercise your privilege as a United States citizen. Go vote.
Brother Love, this is something that we talked about. We really don't touch local elections now because Let's Talk Nation is too big for that. But I'm gonna say this, Brother Love. There's somebody who's running for mayor of Orlando, and he didn't call us, Brother Love.
He didn't call us this time, Greg.
He didn't call us this time. But I'm not gonna blame him because I think that he understands that Let's Talk Nation is bigger than local elections. But Brother Ings, you could have called us.
You could have called us.
You could have called us, man.
Hey, Greg, you know what? On that note, we're gonna take a quick break to pay the bills, and we're gonna be right back, and we'll follow up with that doggone discussion. We'll be back. Join us for Let's Talk Nation.
Gun violence prevention, conflict resolution training, positive law enforcement interactions. These are a few program service delivery contacts that the community-based services CBS Accountability smartphone app captures. Good intentions are not enough. Results are what matters. Buenas intenciones no es suficiente. Tener resultados es lo importante. The CBS smartphone app provides the verifiable programmatic elements of the who, what, when, and where. The CBS Smartphone Accountability app captures community service providers, clients' positive and negative encounters with law enforcement as a means to monitor, value, and evaluate relationship development.
Law enforcement needs to get out in the community and out of our cars and build that relationship with the community.
CBS Smartphone Accountability app by CSG Tech Solutions. Don't delay. Subscribe today. No tarde más. Suscríbase hoy.
Joe's European Quality Auto Repair.
Mercedes-Benz, BMWs, Jaguars, and Porsche. Joe's Quality Auto Repair specializes in European cars. Joe's Quality Auto Repair is located at 1240 State Road, 436 in Altamont Springs. Stop paying a king's ransom for your foreign auto repairs. Call Joe's Quality Auto Repair, mention Let's Talk Nation, and he'll beat certified dealership repair quotes by 30%. Call Joe's Quality Auto Repair at 407-409-6040. Again, 407-409-6040 for the best affordable and guaranteed European auto repairs.
They break, I fix. Mercedes-Benz, BMWs, Jaguars, and Porsche. Joe's Quality Auto Repair. I specialize in European cars.
Dynamic duo. This is Let's Talk Nation. Again, we want to thank our sponsor, Joe's Auto. But look, we were just getting ready to start talking about some national political news of what's taking place. And one of the things that's starting to kind of circulate and get around is the thought that perhaps, maybe, just maybe, Joe Biden may not be on the ballot in 2024.
So how is that, Greg? How do you think that's going to pan out? Because based on that, I mean, some of the conversation, Greg, that kind of led into that, Greg, all of the talking heads, well, I'm not going to say all the talking heads that I wouldn't normally see or believe that they were going to actually start articulating a little bit more of the truth. They've been articulating that if the race for United States president was held today,
Joe
Biden wouldn't win.
And not only would Joe Biden not win, but he would lose to Donald Trump. I mean, it's not just he would lose to Donald Trump, and the projected number that he would lose to Donald Trump, but in terms of electoral votes, because that's how the president is elected in this country, is that Trump would get 300 electoral votes right now. And that is sending shock waves. That is sending some significant concern through the Democratic Party, my party, because now it's, what are we going to do about the potentiality of Trump becoming president again, and the fact that Biden is losing steam every step of the way. I mean, I think I saw a poll, I heard of a poll also, that only 23% of Americans believe that the country is headed in the right direction. Those numbers are abysmal.
That's terrible. But
that's
then,
abysmal.
But then, Greg, one of the polls that I saw on multiple networks, they were asking a sampling of United States citizens, what do they think about President Biden? And it was a high percentage, man. But basically, a lot of people believe he's too old to be running for president.
They just not figuring that out.
But it's showing through we say let's not put too much into polling. But Greg, it's coming across the board in a lot of the media networks that I'm not going to say that we trust.
Yeah. But listen though, anytime you have national or worldwide crises, and you have a president that every weekend, no matter what, is going home to spend time on the beach and spend time with family instead of in that situation room, trying to figure out how we keep this world a safer place, because the president of the United States has widely been known and referred to as the leader of the free world.
Yeah.
And Joe Biden, every single weekend, Brother Love, either he's cutting off meetings or press conferences at 5 o'clock to where you don't talk to him anymore until the following day, if at all. And on the weekends, he's in Delaware on the beach or somewhere on the beach during these horrific times that we are facing. That is not the perception. That is not the look that we want a president to have. And what's even sadder, Brother Love, is that now, during this Israeli, Hamas conflict, this war that's taking place right now, that former president Barack Obama has had to step out to kind of be a voice of, hey, listen, y'all, this is what's taking place. This is a very complicated and complex issue, as opposed to the president of the United States, Joe Biden, coming out and having this conversation.
And you know what, Greg? I did see that this weekend.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
and it wasn't just like one of those deals where coming out and just giving a quick talking point. He sat down and was giving some deep thought to the fact that that conflict in the world is impacting the entire world.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, listen, just imagine if Jimmy Carter, while Ronald Reagan was president and there was something going on, i.e. the Iran-Contra affair was taking place, and Jimmy Carter stepped in and started having conversations about what should be done. Just think about if when George H. Bush was president, that Ronald Reagan started chiming in about how to handle the Gulf War. Just think about when Bill Clinton was president, if George W. Bush would have stepped out to talk about the conflict. Just think about, and I'm just saying, that's something that you don't see. Former presidents typically, they really don't talk about much once they finish that office. They respect the presidency to allow the president to do whatever he's going to do.
No rule. There can only be one president.
That's right.
At a time.
But right now, and listen, listen, Obama's like, look, bro.
Mm-hmm.
I came out there and I endorsed you. Remember, Obama was out there on the campaign trail with Joe Biden. We've never seen stuff like that. You've never seen a former president out on the campaign trail with another president, to help them to get elected. And so I think that Obama's kind of like, hey, I kind of vouch for this guy.
Yeah.
So I think I may need to step out there and, kind of be the voice that people trust, to say, hey, it's a complex issue. We got to understand this stuff and whatever. So,
something that he did, Greg, during the interview that I saw this weekend.
Mm-hmm.
And I was paying attention closely to what he was saying.
Okay.
But one of the things that he did that really surprised me
mm-hmm.
is as he talked about the crisis that's taking place in Israel, as he talked about Gaza, he came full circle and he said, I have to continue to ask myself as a post-president,
mm-hmm.
is there more that I could have done? You don't hear
interesting
presidents doing that. I mean, but basically, Greg, what I'm saying is he could have finished that interview, but he didn't let himself off the hook either.
Right.
I mean, that impressed me.
Listen, man, I've always said that that Obama is, and excuse me for being too familiar in this circumstance, but I've always said that Obama is a class act.
Mm-hmm.
Aside from stuff that's coming out now and all this other stuff, you can't name me one thing that came out about Obama during the time that he was president that made you think, man, this guy is shiftless and shady or whatever the case may be. He's always been, the type of person where you look and say, hey, that guy's presidential. In my estimation, in my mind, Obama has always been very presidential. Now, did I always agree with everything that he did? No. And listen, I don't agree with everything that my wife does.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not going to sit up here and be silly enough to say, oh, I agree with everything that Obama said, and he ain't never been to my house and ate dinner at my house. So, no, I didn't agree. But just in general, who he was and what he stood for and what he represented, as what we look to as a leader.
Yeah.
I liked Barack Obama. And listen, I like Bill Clinton was the same way. Don't get me wrong. Ronald Reagan was the same way.
You're right.
You understand what I'm saying? George W. Bush, when he had to shift focus from what his campaign was about when 9/11 happened, and he had to totally shift everything of what his presidency was about, impressed me in that way. So listen, that's the thing that I like about it.
Hey, Greg, you know something, man? Every United States president, I mean, I'm going to say something, man, that I think the country needs to get back to, man. First and foremost, realizing that no matter what party affiliation you are, you an American first.
Oh, absolutely.
You're an American first.
Absolutely.
And I think we I don't know how, man, we've gotten away from that. But the other thing, man, that you and I have seen, everybody's seen,
yeah,
man, when you go into that White House, no matter what your party affiliation, we've seen everybody come out of that place. Their hair is much whiter, or
Every last
losing
one
it.
of them.
Yeah,
Every last one of them.
I mean, Greg, it's just the things that you know, the pressures that you have to try to maintain world order to some extent. And you know, and the same with you know, you mentioned, I mean, shoot, President Ronald Reagan, both Bushes.
Yeah. Listen, if we keep going back, JFK.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, even FDR, even though, you know, colored folks wasn't his favorite, you know what I'm saying? I mean, even, you know, the things that the conflicts, the things they had to deal with and put up with, well, I shouldn't say put up with because that's the job, but those were leaders, man.
Well,
Those were leaders.
Well, you know, Greg, we were talking about something important that's taking place on Wednesday. And it should be important to everybody.
No matter what political affiliation you are, this you're right. This should be important for everybody.
So Greg, you realize this will be the third Republican debate, and it's going to take place in Miami, right?
In Miami, and here in the great state of Florida, man, right down the road from where we are. So,
Greg, how many people? Because as you mentioned last show, former Vice President Pence is no longer, he suspended his
campaign. Yeah, he sure did.
So how many people are we expecting to see on the stage on Wednesday?
So right now, they're expecting to see 5 people on the stage right now. So you have Governor DeSantis, you have Nikki Haley, you have Ramaswamy. Ramaswamy still in. I mean, he's polling, you know, if you don't count Trump, he's polling third.
Okay.
Right now, you also have Tim Scott that's in there right now. They said he's barely still in there. And Chris Christie is still hanging on.
Still in there?
Chris Christie is still hanging on.
So the governor, former governor, was it South Dakota, North Dakota? He's
of North Dakota. You're talking about Burgum.
Okay, so he.
So actually, it's still on. It's still up in the air as to whether or not he's going to qualify.
Okay.
To be on that stage because they have to meet certain, parameters to be on that stage. And the last I heard, he's close, but he's not there yet.
Great. We're missing a couple of people that.
Well, listen. So we already talked about Pence, but the other one, who I kind of like, is Asa Hutchins.
Okay.
Hutchinson. I'm sorry. Yeah.
So he hasn't qualified to make the stage.
He has not qualified, and he's in a very close or similar position as Pence. And they're saying he may be throwing in the towel soon too.
Greg, if you don't get on the stage this Wednesday, then you might as well make your announcement the following week.
Might as well, unless you're Trump. He's the only one that's not on the stage.
And he's already announced. I'm not showing up.
Well, listen, I don't think Trump can show up even if he wanted to because he's in trial right now.
Oh, yeah.
He's in trial right now for the elevated valuation of his properties in New York.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I think yesterday his 2 sons took the stand, and I heard that he took the stand today, and was all but admonished by the judge. And they said that he battled with the attorney general. I forget, and I apologize, I forget her name because I'm not from New York, so it really doesn't matter to me.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so that trial should be ending soon. I believe that Trump is going to be, the verdict is going to be against him. Mm-hmm. And the unfortunate thing for Democrats is that if there's a verdict against Trump, as we've seen in the past, it's only going to boost his poll numbers.
Yeah. And it happens each time.
Yeah.
Greg. I mean, even he's been indicted, 3 or 4 times?
4 times.
And each time,
boosted his numbers. His numbers. So not just fundraising,
but
the poll numbers go up. You see what I'm saying? So it's going to be interesting to watch. So
yeah. Before you leave off of that note, and I can't remember the governor,
Iowa.
Mm-hmm. Give us an update on that, man.
So the biggest story, or the almost as big story, is the fact that last week or week before last, Rick Scott basically came out and said that he was endorsing President Donald Trump. Now, the crazy thing about that to me is that Rick Scott is now the junior senator, from the great state of Florida. Mm-hmm. And you would think that to have a senator who is the former governor of the state of Florida, it's odd that he's not supporting the governor of the state of Florida. And so that was some fairly big news a week or so ago.
So let me ask you this. I mean, because, I guess given some education and some history, that Florida has 2 United States senators.
Yeah.
has Senator Marco Rubio made an endorsement?
Hadn't heard anything from him yet.
Okay.
And knowing Senator Rubio, he's probably playing it close to the chest, but he's going to go with whoever the eventual nominee is. Which listen, that's a smart thing to do.
Yeah.
Because there are lawsuits going on across the country. I don't know if people realize this, to keep Donald Trump off of the ballot in certain states. And I want to say,
was Minnesota one of them?
I was about to say Minnesota, and I want to say Nevada is another one. And so if he's kept off of the ballot in those states,
But let people know what amendment that's being utilized to keep him off the ballot.
Is it the 25th Amendment?
I thought it was it 14th?
Maybe it is the 25th is dealing with the president. Yeah, my side is the 25th
based on what, Greg? I mean, what is that? It's
something about someone who's convicted of a felony
Correct.
or found guilty, but he hasn't been convicted of a felony just yet. And so, I mean, but I've heard that Trump said that even if he's convicted, he's still going to run.
But also, Greg, are they tying the ability to keep him off the ballot?
Wait. 14 is someone who has participated in or supported an insurrection of the United States. That's what it is.
Yeah.
That's what it. And so they're tying that into the January 6th trials that have been held, and those individuals have been deemed insurrectionists, and some of them have been sentenced to some substantial prison time.
But you Greg, I mean, so far I think you got maybe 3 states that are
seriously considering it. Yeah. So I mean, that's the other thing too, and that's why I say Marco Rubio is smart to just kind of sit back, because Donald Trump may not, although he may be the front runner right now, these legal battles may prevent him from being on the ballot. As a matter of fact, I heard also that one of the trials that he is scheduled for, and I want to say it may be the one here in Florida, is during the primary in March. And Trump basically cursed out his lawyer, being who he is, and basically said, that's during the primary. How can I be here during the primary? And the judge is like, I don't care. I don't care.
Just like that.
Yeah. Now,
Greg, let me ask you this question. So we know Minnesota and another state, Greg, so they actually have to take their process up and through their Supreme Courts of those states, right?
Yeah.
And is it final there, or does something take place to where it's supercharged, if you would, and it has to go to the United States Supreme Court?
I mean, he can appeal it up to the Supreme Court. The process in which that's done is above my brain,
because it's never happened before. Right?
These are things that we've never seen before. We've never seen a president indicted twice. We've never seen a former president. We've never seen a president impeached twice. We've never, ever seen a president indicted, and we most certainly have never, ever seen a president indicted 4 times who's also actively running for re-election as president again. And we've never seen this.
And never seen it, Greg, to the extent that here's an individual that is polling tremendously, if at the pace that it's going.
But double digits, double digits against the closest the closest rival.
Greg, come on, man. Tell me. Do you think it's the reality TV that has turned into this reality that we realize?
Bro, honestly, I don't think it's reality TV. I think that a lot of people are frustrated with the fact that they see that you have an individual who's being treated differently from other people. They're looking at the things that Joe Biden has done, the things that Hillary Clinton did with regards to classified documents, and not only having classified documents on her server, but also destroying and purposely destroying classified documents. They're looking at Joe Biden and his family and the things that they're being pulled into with regards to what they call the Trump family syndicate, with I think it's up to $20 million that they have tracked that the Biden family has gotten, and they believe that they're going to be able to show that Joe Biden has gotten that money. That's pay to play politics. It's not supposed to happen. And so I think that people are looking at this and saying, well, wait a minute, if Trump's last name was Biden, they would be hailing him. But because his last name is Trump, they are, persecuting and attacking this guy. And that's what I think a lot of it is that people feel like if this was me and not Trump with millions upon millions of dollars, they would be doing the same thing to the average guy.
And Greg, what people are starting to learn and realize more and more is he can actually get convicted and still run for the highest office in the land.
Right. And if it is a federal case, he can then pardon himself.
Yeah, if it's a federal case,
But not a
then
state case.
If a state case,
But now I've heard arguments to say that even if it's a state case, he could pardon himself. Now that, like I said, that's constitutional law. That and this is dealing with something that we've never seen in this country.
yeah, you're right.
Ever
And,
seen.
and Greg, I don't know, man. Some of the talking heads that I've witnessed have gone on to say, if it's a state conviction, that a state legislature could go in to do what they deem in the best interest of the country.
Yeah.
And pardon them.
Yeah.
Greg, you're right.
Listen, we're in uncharted
Yeah.
waters in this little experiment called democracy right
Yeah.
now. Uncharted territory. So
Yeah. Well, I will say this, man, and I've been listening to it more and more, to the extent, Greg, that I don't know, man. I mean, if he's convicted, do you think that he's not? I mean, and you become the most powerful man in the world again. Do you not believe that he's going to go after?
say less.
Yeah.
Say less, of course.
Yeah.
But the problem is, I don't know if he's going to be able to get anyone confirmed who's going to do. Because remember, he's going to have an attorney general and a justice department that's going to take on these personal vendettas of Trump.
Well, you know where I just got that line from that I just said to you? From his former AG Barr.
Oh, but yeah, Barr's afraid this gonna happen.
Yeah.
But listen, remember, the attorney general has to be confirmed through the Senate. And we've seen that the Senate, for what it's worth, Brother Love, the Senate is they appear to me to play fair. And I don't think that they're going to confirm someone that Trump handpicks to go out and start doing his bidding in this case.
Greg, since you go there, and I know we got a couple more things on our punch list, but here's something that's not on it.
What's that?
When you talk about the Senate, United States Senate,
Mhm.
what's your thoughts? Have you been keeping up with the new Speaker Johnson?
Now you're talking about in the House now.
Yeah, in the House.
Yeah. He's making some moves. He's
Yeah.
surprising some people
Yeah.
because he's never really had a leadership position to get done and do the things that he's doing. And I think it's because the Republicans felt and they agreed that they needed someone who was, kind of on the fence and that was not going to be like a Jim Jeffries or someone like that. So yeah, I think he's going to get some things done because of that.
Are they going to change the rule that they put in place that one member can?
They haven't changed it yet? Because listen, we don't know what deals were struck in order to get him as Speaker of the House.
Yeah.
And I would be very surprised if that is still in play because if it is, Republicans are crazier than I thought. Because why would you want that? Why would you want that debacle to happen again?
Yeah.
That is
great. All it takes is to get one person upset at you.
Yeah, and all of a sudden you're out like McCarthy. That was absolutely,
that's still
again, brother, unprecedented.
Yeah.
These are uncharted waters that we're in right now.
And I'm wondering, and I haven't seen it, Greg, and I need to go back and look, but I wonder, has Speaker Johnson assembled his own new team? Because
I'm sure he has. Yeah. I mean, that was probably done within hours of him getting the speakership. There's no way he could be making these moves and doing the things that he's doing right now without having some folks around him that's carrying that message and carrying the
and
bill.
so we're down to like a week before they gotta
vote.
on the budget.
Yeah.
New government budget.
Yeah. So we'll see what happens, man. We'll see what happens.
So Greg, man, we winding down into this other piece, man, and you just happened to be in the neck of the woods last week, I think it was.
Yeah.
Man, what do you think about Coach Prime, man?
Listen, man, it's been fun watching Coach Prime. It's been fun. I'm gonna tell you, the first game that he won against TCU, it was a fantastic win. Even the following one was a great one, but that first one was a great win. And when Deion Sanders was up there, telling these reporters, "Do you believe now? I got receipts. Do you believe now?" In my mind, I was like, man, I hope he wins out the rest of the year.
Yeah.
Because if there is even a slight turn in what takes place, people are going to remember how on just one game, which was a great win, on one game, he wanted to get the buy-in from the media. And so now, Brother Love, lo and behold, it's as if now Deion Sanders doesn't believe in what he's put together, because now he is not only, talking about his O-line. He's not only talking about having to go out and get a whole new offensive line to do what it is that he needs to have done. Now, remember, he's still competing against some of the best teams in the country. So he's not going to, he may get 1 or 2, but he's not going to get what he thinks he's going to get, and especially if the record isn't what it needs to be. But now he is demoting coaches, people that he's brought in.
Mm-hmm.
And, even I'm not a football coach, but I always hate to see when schools or coaches make changes just because you're not having the best time or the best season. At least finish out.
Greg, I remember in college, as a college player, when we were winning, man, it was great.
Right.
But when we started losing, man, the finger pointing, but you know what? It also, Coach Tressel, he was a master at teaching, because he also revealed to us, man, losing shows a lot of who you are.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And so now, man, because I got to tell you, man, I'm still pulling for him.
Oh, yeah.
But Greg, I was interested because you and I both know you don't win them all.
No.
And if you do, you better get on your knees and thank God.
Yeah.
But I was sitting back wondering how he was going to demonstrate the character, his charisma and everything when they started losing.
Listen, he's still out there in front of the media, Brother Love, but it's the other stuff. Listen, he came into the great state of Florida and got one of the best recruited cornerbacks who is still sitting on the bench, because it seems as if he's trying to prove a point to this young man. And I don't get on. And there's talk that that this young man is going to be in the transfer portal because he doesn't. Listen, he could have been at Florida State. That's 9-0 right now. The fact that, listen, he sits there, he addresses the questions with the media. But then to go back and then start, demoting your coaches and, putting things on your coaches and different things like that. Listen, if you believe in the program that you put together, do like Phil Jackson when it was the triangle offense. Continue to let the offense play and develop. Just let the guys play, and it's going to work itself out. He's not doing that. He's on a losing streak on the stretch. But like he said, listen, we coming next year. Keep the coaching staff and be there next year.
And you gotta be together through these tough times.
Right.
Too.
That's right.
And Greg, I will say this to you. Recruiting is going to be even more so competitive because of Deion Sanders' competitiveness and how he was going around the country.
Yeah.
And he was getting these kids.
Top recruits.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be even more. And it doesn't help when you got the NIL that's around now, because these college teams, man, they're saying, hey, come here. We'll treat you better, especially with the NIL deal.
But listen, though, let's go back to what the Oregon coach said, too, now. The Oregon coach said they're playing for clicks, we're playing for wins.
Yeah.
There's still kids out there who are playing to win the game. Let me tell you, I was in Atlanta this week, and I just told you that. And I met the coach of James Madison University. Now, James Madison University is another school that's 9-0 right now. They beat Georgia State University this past weekend. And that coach, he basically said, hey, and I bought him a beer. I said, hey, coach, great win today, because I saw him in the hotel and I met him and I was like, oh, I watched what y'all did. Great win. And so the coach said, listen, I have one of the best linebackers in college football right now who will not get any looks because of the NCAA rules right now. And this kid is playing his heart out, not for NILs, not for clicks on social media, but because of the love of the game and playing hard for his coach. And this team is 9-0, Brother Love. So listen, you can point to the NILs, but there's still a lot of kids out there, Brother Love, that's playing for the sheer love of the game and without all of the fanfare. And, the fact that Deion Sanders was bringing all these celebrities and things like that is great and it's good. But for those kids who come just to play ball, that's not what's going to get it. And I'm telling you, those are the kids that are going to go to the Alabamas, the Florida States, the USCs, and the schools like that, and continue to go there because, like they say, Brother Love, they're not playing for clicks and likes.
They're playing for victories.
They're playing for victories.
Hey, and we all see it's good, man, when you're winning, but boy, when you're not,
And listen, speaking of winter, Brother Love,
What's that?
Thanksgiving coming up, Brother Love.
Oh shit!
Oh, Thanksgiving coming up.
Sure. What you gonna cook for Thanksgiving, man?
I'm not cooking nothing. I'm gonna tell you that right now. So don't even ask no more. Don't ask me that question. no more.
So yeah.
Don't ask me that
hey,
question
you
no
know
more.
what? Talk about the hopefully the special guest that we'll have come on the show.
That's why I brought it up. So we're gonna be winning, Brother Love, because we're gonna have a special guest on either. I think next week it's gonna be Ms. Biana Toby Jackson. She's a licensed and registered dietitian, but not only that, she's my lovely bride, Brother Love, and she's gonna be coming in talking about Thanksgiving meals, Brother Love. We talked about this before. Healthier Thanksgiving meals, the healthier options of things that you can make to make Thanksgiving fun, to make it healthy, but also make it delicious and tasty. So she'll hopefully be coming with some helpful tips and maybe even some recipes on how to make some delicious, healthy dishes.
I'll never forget, and I'll make this real quick. When she came on one of our shows one time, Greg, she called in, I believe it was, and she told our listening audience, it's not that what you're eating is bad for you.
Right.
A lot of times it's the way you're cooking it.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, instead of making the greens with the ham hocks and the fat back, like my mom got mad at me. I know she gonna yell at me when I get off tonight. She got mad at me because she was like, "Oh, I want some greens, some ham hocks." No, you don't. No, you don't. You ain't get no good ham. We gonna get that smoked turkey like we always do.
Hey, man. Hey, next week. And Greg, so when is she coming on?
Looking like next week, man.
Okay,
Looking
so
like
next week. Hey, Greg, brother, I enjoy, man, just all the things that we talk about, man. Look forward to next week. Look forward to knowing how we can cook what we need and be healthy.
Yes, sir.
So, Greg, you do not have to go home, brother.
But you got to get out of here.
Until next week on Let's Talk Nation with the General and myself, we look forward to welcome you in. And please, let's get ready for Thanksgiving. We'll see you next week.